Hey there, Lionesses. This is Bobby Carlton. I'm the publisher and editor-in-chief of Lioness magazine. I'm also the founder of Innovation Women, an online speaker bureau for women. And today I'm so excited. I have my special friend, Alyssa Dver, and she is the founder and CEO of the American Confidence Institute. She's a two-time TEDx speaker. She's a trainer. She's coached over 350,000 individuals. She's a 7-time author. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's more. I might not have caught up with that. She is just so exciting, and I'm really thrilled to have you here today.
Bobby, the thrill is mine. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You're an author. You're an entrepreneur and a speaker. And a lot of your work comes from an incredibly personal place. So can we talk a little bit about your origin story, you superhero you?
I have sons, and a lot of my books have that superhero theme, but I have to credit one of my sons to really starting it all. His name is Zach. He's 23. I say today, this year, he's 23. But back when he was 8 years old, at that time, like yourself, I came out of a marketing career. I was the chief marketing officer for a lot of tech companies. And at that time, Zach was having some neurological challenges that we went on a very long journey with many doctors that not only taught me that the doctors, even if they're the top of the pecking order, most famous in the world, don't have all the answers, but you look in their eyes and you can tell that they're really, really not confident about what they're telling you. So that was like a trigger moment for me, in that they couldn't tell me what was wrong with Zach. They were making up stuff. I was going from one to the next, and they were telling me different things. He was on intensive medication. It was just really, really bad times, to be honest with you. And it got to a point where it was like the 50th doctor we went in, and he was the head of the department at one of the top children's hospitals in the world. And my very patient husband, he's a 5th grade teacher, you have to be extraordinarily patient, literally looked at the guy who was Googling online, and we're like, are you kidding us? Like, we're paying you these big bucks and all this time, and you're Googling? We can do that ourselves. And that's what I started to do. And I did a lot of Google research, of course, but then read all kinds of dissertations and research that was going on, and talked to doctors again all over the world. So I was compiling all this body of knowledge, and not only realized how the brain worked subsequently, that it could help Zach. And today he is a very successful individual. He's a tennis professional, which is a big deal considering his neurological condition prevents him from controlling his arms. But he can play tennis in a way that is, unreal. He's literally a tennis pro, and he's going to graduate school to become a guidance counselor for elementary kids, because he believes that his disability actually is something that he can help others with. So that is my greatest success of all time. But I took that body of knowledge and realized that we could help everyone understand their brains better to improve their confidence. So that's my origin story.
All right. So many speakers become authors and vice versa. Which came first for you, and how do these two roles support each other?
I love that question, because I think most of the time people write and then speak. I do it the other way around. I believe that through the speaking exercise, and I say exercise, going out and testing things, trying to use metaphors and seeing if people get them, explaining concepts, the order of which you do things, only happens if you really use that verbal technique. And so whether it's speaking to an audience, live or virtual, speaking to a Zoom recording and listening it to myself, practicing, which I do a lot of every presentation, that exercise really helps organize at least my neural pathways, so that when I go to write, Bobby, it falls onto the paper. And by then, once it's on paper, it's almost like a commitment. It's harder to change a book, right? So I've already beta tested, gamma tested, zeta tested, right? The whole story, so that when it comes out, it's really ready for print.
Sounds awesome. I would love it if you could talk a little bit more about the speaker aspect of it and the speaker journey for you.
I love speaking. I love it. And I'm very conscious that that's a selfish statement in many ways. But the reason I love speaking is because it really motivates and transforms people like no other media. I mentioned that I was a former marketer, recovering CMO, right? And we can put stuff on print, social posts, hope that people see it, hope that they read it. But if they show up at a presentation, particularly they've selected to be at that presentation, online, in person, there's something that they need, that's something that they want. And so being able to deliver that to them, have them come up after, which they often do, with this sense of gratitude that you don't get from a post. It's magical. It really motivates me. And I'm a bit of an addict, admittedly. So when I started speaking as a CMO and realized the power of it, realized the impact, I took it really seriously. I have several certifications as a speaker. I've read probably every book there is on the subject, practiced well beyond 10,000 Malcolm Gladwell hours, and do it all the time. I speak 2-3 times a week. So part of my pleasure is doing the work, but I don't take it for granted. And so is it part of the business? It is. It makes us a lot of money. And I say us on all my different businesses. But oftentimes, if there's an audience or an opportunity, I just got asked to do a talk for a university that I've done a lot of work with and I've got a lot of value from. It's not about the money. It's about the opportunity to really reach some really great people and do something that I love to do. And I think I do it pretty damn well.
Okay. So I want to talk about some of those basic principles of confidence that you address in your books, and your speeches and your workshops. I mean, we often hear about imposter syndrome, but I feel like the flip side, confidence, gets really short shrift.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it gets short shrifted in your terminology because people think it's this fluffy, you get it or you don't get it from birth. And the truth is there's 3 things that I can kind of really nail right here that are the basic tenets of everything that I talk and write about. So the first one is exactly that, is that you're not born with confidence. It's not a genetic inheritance. It is something that you learn. It is a learned skill like anything else that you do. You don't come out knowing how to use Excel. You learn how to use Excel, right? Or you learn how to speak properly well in front of an audience. Confidence is learned. And so take that as first motivation, that if you don't feel confident at this moment, you can learn to be confident. And that's my second tenet. It is actually, it's not a feeling. People say, I feel confident. That's not accurate. Definitionally, neurologically, confidence is a decision. It's a decision about the truth of something, the truth that I can speak well, the truth that I'm going to do a great job on, whether it's going to rain or not. It's a decision. Confidence is a decision. It's not a feeling. So that's number 2. And I think the third thing that really kind of cements both of those is when we know about the brain today, that we never knew before, with all kinds of great technology like functional MRIs and things. So we know concretely. We kind of had a sense of this back in the days that meditation and yoga and mindfulness kind of came out 3,000 plus years ago. But now we know scientifically that your brain is very much like your body. If you don't condition it, if you don't take care of it, if you don't look at it like a muscle, you're not getting the best of it. You're not utilizing all the power that's inside your head. So you have to be very deliberate about it. You can't just assume that you're going to be confident today and you're going to make a confident decision. It's a practiced technique. It's a practice set of thinking skills. And so when you are in that moment, and I'm sure you have them all day long, I have them all day long, everybody does, that moment of what we call the amygdala moment, that you get almost like a little anxious. You go, this doesn't feel good, or I don't want to do this. That is really a signal to the brain. That is the greatest gift we have as human beings, that's telling us that there's something here that we need to make a decision, whether it's, what do I text? To whom do I text? Should I CC all? All these little micro decisions we make all day long, 30,000 plus of them. When you have that little doubt, that's your brain going, need to think about that. But 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.9 out of 10 times, we don't take the opportunity to think about it here in the beautiful part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex, where all the power is. That's where all the intelligence about should we, shouldn't we, what could happen, all the correlations, all the calculations we do about outcome. That's where it is here. But instead, we let that anxious moment drive it into our brainstem, which is a reactive part of our brain. So instead of being brilliant, we start acting like cave people, which is our survival stuff. It's not really thoughtful. It's automatic stuff. So we get shy and we get nervous and we get even aggressive sometimes. It's all survival, cave person. And the unfortunate part of it is that part of our brain is really strong. It's evolutionary wise, it's the biggest, strongest part of our brain because we've had it the longest. It comes out first when we're born. I mean, there's all these reasons, maybe even gravity, some people say. So we have to work hard. It's kind of like doing a clean and press or a push-up, right? You learn to push it up into your brain by practicing it, by being deliberate. But if you don't do it, it's going to go into that kind of default place. And that's where all the stuff that happens that we later regret. Wow. So the skill of confidence, I'll say it again, it's the skill of confidence is learning to take that little itchy feeling and say, oh, it's a signal. I can do better than just react to it.
Okay. So you recently became the confidence educator for IT Cosmetics. They're a L'Oreal brand, which, oh my God, sounds amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your role and how this came about and kind of why now in your business life cycle?
Well, Bob, you and I have been friends for a really long time. So you know this, and people who are seeing this, maybe they can see it too. But if you're not literally looking at the video, I just want to make it very clear. I'm 57. I'm a little bit fat, right? And so the fact that I'm a L'Oreal spokesperson to me is hilarious. And the reason I say hilarious is because I couldn't have wished for something more significant to cement the fact that my confidence work actually matters. It not only gives me confidence to say that, you know what, you don't have to be a 20-year-old twig to do something of that kind of significance, but more importantly, that there's a brand, and I'm so proud to represent, to be part of this family that has always been about confidence. Now, granted, and you say IT Cosmetics, they're very, very much around to skincare, and their own origin story is a beautiful thing. Somebody can Google that if they're interested. But from the get-go, they've been about really giving women confidence. In particular, this campaign that I'm working on with them now is confidence at work. So it's fun as heck. I love working with them. They're great people. I love everything that we're doing together, all the content we're generating, videos and blog posts and social feeds and stuff like that. So if you're interested, please check it out because it's really fun and great stuff. And my greatest wish for you, Ms. Bobby, and everybody else is listening, is everyone should have a glam squad once in their life. Because let me tell you, if there's anything to confidence building, it's having people do your hair and makeup and tell you what to wear. I just love that. So needless to say, thank you for letting me, swagger about it.
All right. So how did you get connected with them?
How did I get connected with them? Well, with all my marketing ability, I can't even claim that I did anything other than put stuff out there 4 years ago, 2018. Their digital marketing person somehow miraculously found me because confidence is not the most search engine friendly word or search engine easy word, I should say. And somehow found me and the American Confidence Institute, reached out. I invited them to come to one of my talks that happened to be, again, maybe divinely set, very close to their headquarters in New Jersey. And they came, we met, they were very lovely. And I say this gentleman with the digital marketing team and his boss, who was VP, who's still VP today. So I met them in person, and that made a big difference, I think, in the whole scheme of things. But 4 years, a couple emails here and there, that was it. And didn't really take traction. I never in a million years thought anything was going to go anywhere. And they called last fall and said, we want to pick up those conversations and talk through what it might look like. And here we are today.
Wow. That's a great story. And I find it just terrific that an organization oriented toward cosmetics is focused on confidence. And, these days, a lot of us spend a lot of times, like this, very up close and personal with the camera. So it's a good time, I think, for, all of us to feel a little bit more confident on camera.
For sure.
So, and if I ever do get a chance at a Glam Squad, I'm totally giving you a call and going, what do I do?
Yeah. Like it was such a privilege, but I think the moral of the entire story is that no matter how your hair looks, and you and I, before we even got on, I'm sitting there fidgeting with my hair because I tried a new product last night, not such a good move. But needless to say, it doesn't matter what you put on your face, put on your hair, even on your body. What people are going to see, what they're going to remember is your confidence. And it sounds almost too fluffy to say it that way. It is your best asset. It is your best accessory, because that's what resonates in people's brains. Maybe they'll remember you had, makeup running down your face. If that's the case, it's not going to be when you're on Zoom, you're fixing yourself all, we're doing this all day long. But the reality is what's going to linger, what's going to stick with them 5, 10, 8, 15 years from now, let alone motivate them to want to do something with you now, is your confidence. If you can't be confident, give them confidence, doesn't matter what's on your face.
All right. You got other initiatives, including one that is the ERG Leadership Alliance. All right. First off, tell everybody, what is an ERG?
An ERG stands for Employee Resource Group. Organizations, so nonprofits, academics, for-profit companies, they've been around, these ERGs have been around for 60 plus years, but were pretty much looming in the background, became very much forefront around Black Lives Matters and subsequently, as a way for employees to feel a sense of belonging, to get together and do professional development, a little bit of social networking, business kind of connections, and other ways to really feel that they are part of the organization, particularly if we're interacting on a virtual basis consistently. So they all of a sudden really kind of came up. We started ELA 2019, just before all this happened. So our timing again was maybe a little prophetic, but what has happened now, 25,000 members later, is an incredible groundswell that this is the key to not just diversity, but talent acquisition and retention. So organizations as small, we have some members that have 30 employees now that are building ERGs as a way to really keep and attract the star talent that they want. And
what does ELA do for them?
We offer training, operational governance training, as well as training for kind of strategic planning for their executives so that they can understand and know what their roles are. We do motivational, I even bring a little bit of my confidence brain science into keynotes to re-energize and remind leaders. In particular, ERG leaders are often volunteers. They're not paid. So to motivate them and to really have them feel committed to doing what we call the passion job on top of their day job. I come in and I really help them understand how to do that in a way that's productive for them and for their members.
Great. That sounds terrific. Okay. Confidence advice for other female business owners and entrepreneurs. Like, you're meeting somebody at a cocktail party and they say, what do? You tell them and they're like, okay, tell me everything I should know about confidence right now.
Oh,
go.
Gosh. Go get me a martini or 10. No. Before I even answer that, I have to be really clear. You and I come from the same school of 2 businesses or more. And one of the advice things that I want to be really clear before we talk confidence specific is I would never advise somebody to have multiple businesses unless they really leverage each other, which is what you do with your businesses, what I do with my businesses. So please, anyone who's listening, you're thinking, I'm going to be a multipreneur. What's that word, Bobby? There's a formal word for it.
I actually call it a parallel entrepreneur instead of a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, parallel, I like that but here's the thing, parallel lines never meet. Your businesses always are supporting each other. So we have to come up with
there are branches that cross, streets that cross.
There you go. Okay. Well, needless to say, first advice is if you're starting a second business, be really clear how and why it's going to leverage your primary business, because it's really hard to have two businesses running at the same time if they're not helping each other. But as far as confidence work, I think it goes back to maybe some of the obvious things that most people know, that anything that you really want to go look back and be proud of, you have to put the work in. It takes time, and it always takes more patience than we're gifted, right? And patience is a virtue. I think I was last in line for it, but needless to say, things take longer than you always want. So you have to have a little bit more patience. Scientifically, I think on my personal level, I really do fundamentally believe if there's a will, there's a way. But that will has to be really clear and has to be really strong. And like I said, patience and time are important ingredients in this mix. If you're feeling like I'm going to give up, or this isn't worth it, or somebody says something to you, you're like, I really shouldn't do this. Like, how many naysayers do you have to make a successful business? Everyone and their mother is going to tell you reasons why you shouldn't do it. So great, listen and take it as input. But if you have a will, be really clear with yourself why you're doing this, what you're expecting out of it. And if there is that moment of doubt, right, that amygdala anxiety moment, I shouldn't be doing this, what's causing that is some fear, some kind of a fear. And our training at ACI, the Institute, is all about identifying that fear, because that fear is not a problem. It's what you do with it. And if that fear is looked directly in the eye, what it's telling you is there's something here that you need to pay attention to. There is a nugget of truth, or something about that's transgressing your values. There's a signal in that fear that if you decode it, if you look at it and not freak out, but rather decode it, look at it as a piece of data, it's magical. It's magical. It will tell you what to do, what the issue is, and help you figure out what you should do next. And next is not give up. Maybe, but not necessarily. So confidence-wise, naysayers, all that anxiety, all that competition, all those things, pay attention to them, but use them productively. Don't use them to give up. Use them as signals to decide what to do next.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.